Good morning. I have the day off, as evidenced by the fact that it is daylight and I am still in my PJs. Today, I am going to do a reading vlog, I think. I do have to edit and post a video. I didn't edit or post a video yesterday. Yesterday I got home from work and I was so exhausted. So yesterday I read Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay, and by read I mean I listened to the audiobook of Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay, which is phenomenal, and I will probably be buying a physical copy because there were so many things that I was like, I need this noted, I need it so I can quote it places, I want to incorporate it into future writing. It was so good. I'm also listening to Stuff Mom Never Told You, their podcast on trauma. This is a mini series. I think they have 6 or 7 episodes so far on trauma, and they unpack trauma post Me Too, go through their own experiences. And so the host, Annie, has her friend who is a social worker. Both of them have experienced traumatic events. They are unpacking their own trauma and looking at research around it. It's hard to listen to, but also really good. So if you haven't listened to the Stuff Mom Never Told You podcast, I would recommend it. I'm gonna edit and post a video, and I'm gonna try and edit a second video so that I can do the same thing tomorrow. Because I think the hardest part about daily content is my computer. So it can only handle so much. It's not exactly designed to professionally edit and render, and do you know what I mean? Like, my partner built this computer with the idea that it could render videos really well, but not under the assumption that I would be doing this professionally and have to produce more than one thing at a time. It is not good if you are trying to upload footage in a timely manner while rendering a video that already exists, and if you want to edit something while you're rendering or upload something to YouTube while you're rendering, it's just incredibly slow. And I think that is the biggest thing to take away from VEDA so far. I think the thing to take away from this is if I ever want to do something like this again, I have to be really cognizant of the limits of my technology, because I am not in a place to upgrade this to be better. What am I gonna do today? Read. I'm gonna read so that I have content. I'm also going to the doctor's. Gonna have her renew my prescription. I hate going to the doctor's because her office is kind of disgusting. At least it's not carpeted anymore. The day that she got rid of the carpet, there was a period of time where I was in there once a week for 6 months, and you would watch splotches on the carpet appear. And you're like, it's summer, this isn't snow from people's boots, this is coffee. Let's say it's coffee. Let's say you have a lot of really clumsy adults and all of this is coffee. Have I ever seen anyone drink a cup of coffee in the doctor's office? No. 100% it's vomit. It's definitely vomit. Laminate flooring, it's much easier to clean. I don't get to see the vomit splotches, but you know that they're occurring just as often as the sad carpet got hit. I have to go to the doctor's today, and I'm not looking forward to it, is what I'm trying to say. So, turns out I'm a little bit of a ding-dong, and I do have repeat on my prescription, so I didn't have to go to the doctor's. And it also gave me the opportunity to pick up some wool to continue on with the project that I'm making. I mean, I got out of the house, I got in the sunshine, and I got myself a coffee. So, huzzah for black coffee in the morning. I am going to head home now and upload a video and then start filming the reading portion of the reading vlog. So we'll see you in a bit. So it is 12:40. I filmed another 2 Dark Tower videos, and I'm actually getting to the point where the last couple videos to film are going to require some learning. It's the last. It's the last. Very excited about that. I just had some lunch, and now I am treating myself to a gluten-free donut. I have to learn how to make these because they are a lot of dollars, but they're so good. I should have eaten the donut before I started filming. I'm just gonna sort of pick at bits and pieces and just see what happens. I will probably finish The Girl Aquarium by Jen Campbell first, now that I am awake I am really enjoying this. Yeah, I'll check in a little bit. So it is 2:30 and I just finished The Girl Aquarium by Jen Campbell. This is a really bizarre collection, and I mean that in the best possible way. Like, the imagery is sort of weird and tactile, and it's odd in ways that make you think. Like, they make you stop and think. So like sometimes some words will go together and you're like, oh. Like, I found myself rereading some of these poems because by the time I got to the end, I had a different sort of image or feeling in my mind, and so I would go back to the beginning and reread it. And I feel like there are fairy tale elements in here. There are a lot of things about girls, hence The Girl Aquarium. The idea of spectacle, of performance, of circus, of disfigurement as somehow historically, and I suppose still now for some people, like othering and less than human, and images of humans with disfigurements as animals in cages or on display, like at SeaWorld or the circus aquarium sort of feel. It's really beautiful and really dark, and I would definitely reread this. I think a lot of these poems benefit from rereading, and I really enjoyed my time with The Girl Aquarium. So I am debating moving on to something new, either A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf or The Embalmer by Anne Renee Calais. Essay versus fiction. Both of them are tiny, so I feel like I could finish something and accomplish something. I think I'm going to try a chapter for Virginia Woolf and The Embalmer, and if neither of them really sucks me in, I will move on to some of the things that I'm already in the middle of. The other thing that I will be reading today is This Moose Belongs to Me by Oliver Jeffers. This is a picture book that is a collaborative effort between Oliver and another gentleman. The gentleman whose landscape paintings were appropriated for this, because this piece is talking about ownership in many ways. And so I read this, and then I read Oliver Jeffers' book on his art collection, and this book, This Moose Belongs to Me, was talked about. And so now I want to read it again, knowing what I know now. That is sort of where I'm at this moment. So I will check in with you guys in a little bit. So it is the next day. I didn't really do any more reading after my last update. I tried to get into this and just wasn't quite in the mood for it. So I put it down and I picked up The Embalmer, which is a piece of fiction about a daughter asking her father to reflect on like cases that stand out to him as an embalmer. Like, I'm making a lot of notes, I'm asking a lot of questions, and I'm thinking about a lot of things, but it's also really weirdly written with the interruptions of dinner, picking my mom up from work, that kind of stuff. I just couldn't get back into it, so I listened to a 6-part mini-series on trauma while I sewed together the first row of my scrap yarn blanket. Then I started the second row. So the idea being is that you sort of sew them, you put a border on the square, then you sew them together in strips, and then you sew the strips together. And then at the very end, you crochet a border to make the edges look pretty. This is the plan, kind of. I sketched it out a little bit. So it's gonna be like a staggered diagonal rainbow. It's using up scrap yarn from old projects. I have a lot. I have accumulated a lot. Just finding a way to reuse, repurpose some of these things rather than like throwing them out. So I'm gonna have a wacky blanket. So anyways, that's not the point. This is a reading vlog. It is the next morning because I got sucked into this 6-part series on trauma. So something that I am not well educated on is the effects of early exposure to sexually explicit materials on children. So I worked with older children, and if they ever asked something, I was never like, it was age appropriate, like in terms of like level of conversation, and it was always like medical opposed to personal. It like, I was aware of boundaries with children if they had questions and it was like age appropriate. What they are talking about in the podcast is like early exposure to porn and how that can affect children and their experience with sex. And I realized that I don't really know much about that at all. Because I'm thinking about sex in YA, I'm thinking a lot about sex and young people and the materials that we give to young people. And when I think young people, I think teens, like early pubescent, pubescent people. But I haven't really thought about younger children and what sexually explicit material does to their brains and their development and their understanding of themselves and their bodies. After listening to this podcast, I'm curious because I've always felt like I would be the type of parent, or I hope I would be the type of parent that would cultivate an open relationship with my child, that like no topic would be off limits, that I would be willing to discuss anything with them. And so because of that, I've always felt like, well, no, I wouldn't put on like restrictive child blockers on the computer, because I hope that we would have a relationship where we talk about internet safety, we talk about what is important, and we talk about like if they come across something that makes them feel a certain way, uncomfortable, whatever, that we would have a relationship that's close enough. Like I've seen other parents do it, and those people seem to be well-adjusted adults. They seem to have well-adjusted children if they're like people that I know right now. But I've never thought about the actual research behind like really young children and exposure to sexually explicit material. Now I'm starting to think, well, okay, maybe limitations on what is accessible is important, because I hadn't thought about children that young. I don't know. It's something to consider with the Sex and YA series, I suppose. This morning, I am going to drink my tea and I'm going to watch the latest episode of Riverdale because I enjoy my weekly dose of teen trash. There is nothing fun than watching a show that is absolutely bonkers. Like, it makes zero sense. It's a drama, but I can laugh at it. It's just fun to watch because it's so outside the realm of reality. I'm gonna continue to crochet and I'm gonna put more caffeine in my body so that I function like a human, and then I'm gonna finish the embalmer. That brings me to the end of today's vlog. Before we go, we have to thank my patrons. Thank you, patrons, for making VEDA possible, for supporting me as I make longer form content. Throughout this reading vlog as well, in between the footage, I filmed the last couple of Dark Tower episodes that have to happen. The rest require me to learn a little bit of new technology. Even if I don't get that together, like there's so much stuff right now that I can quickly edit together. I'm so excited to see the project coming together. So thank you, patrons, for supporting me throughout that. If you are interested in becoming a patron, links to the Patreon page are in the description box down below. Your support is much appreciated. Let me know your thoughts on your TV trash. Like, what do you watch that you fully acknowledge is not quality television? It is just sort of like mind-numbing fun that you enjoy. What is your trash? Maybe it's not teen trash like mine is, but what is your TV trash? Let's talk about that. And I will see you soon. Bye.